This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. Consider this a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you download podcasts, would you subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief review, especially on iTunes, but Spotify, Stitcher, and other places as well? And will you help spread the word to those who have not heard of or listened to this podcast? It'd be really very helpful. Thank you very much. I want to ask a question that is a fierce debate in the world today. Manager or leader? Which are you? Which is better? Which is needed? There seems to be this divide that says you're either a manager managing something or you're a leader and you're leading something. It was John Kotter, the great business writer, who said about leadership and management that they are two distinctive yet complementary systems of actions. They're two distinctive and complementary systems of action. In other words, John Kotter believes you can't have one without the other. For every leader, we need managers. For all of the managers, we need leaders. What I want us to look at today is, I'm going to look at a description that Warren Bennis, another business writer, describes. He makes a very stark contrast between someone who is managing and someone who is leading. I'm going to go through them in a moment, but what I'm also going to do is, I think, and I have come down on this side, that there are times that if manager is in your title and managing is something you do, there are times in that position where you have to function as a leader. And if you are considered the leader of your home, your entity, you're an entrepreneur or at work, leader, there are times that you have to function as a manager. You have to manage things at times as well as be the leader. But what will be our jumping off point to kind of engage with this a little more is Warren Bennis's defining the difference between a manager and a leader, and then I'm going to compare and contrast that, if it's all right with you. The first thing that Warren Bennis said is that a manager administers and a leader innovates. Well, let's look at that for a moment. There are some leaders who are just naturally good at innovating and improving and coming up with new ideas, and there are some detail-oriented people who are just really outstanding administrators. Let's take the manager-leader title off for a moment and understand that administration is vital. If you cannot administer or see that your organization has good administration, your organization is going to break down. Your organization is not going to make it very far into the future unless you learn to innovate. So both are very important. The next thing that Warren Bennis says is that a manager is a copy and a leader is an original. I think if I were a manager, I would chafe at that description because none of us are a copy of anything. And none of us are as original as we may think we are. I know that most leaders in certain areas of their life learn things from mentors, previous bosses, people they looked up to, and maybe not wholesale, or at least I hope not, copied certain attributes, certain actions that they thought were helpful. I also get to be around a lot of leaders. You can't have everyone be absolutely original at all time. I think there is the sense in which I say, don't copy someone else. Be the person God has created you to be. But there's also that side that says, Yes, if you've seen something that someone does that has been very effective and helpful in their life, don't reinvent the wheel. Copy, borrow what you can. Bennis goes on to say that managers maintain while leaders develop. Again, regardless of whether you are a manager at work or you are a leader at work, we have to maintain the system, we have to keep it going, and we have to continually be developing the system as well. Bennis goes on to say that a manager focuses on systems and structures, and a leader focuses on people. Now, the only thing there are a couple of things that I would sort of disagree with that assessment, far be it from me to disagree with Warren Bennis. But systems and structures, leader, if you ignore the systems and the structures, you will not be leading there very long. Now, it doesn't mean that you yourself are running the systems and the structures, but you need managers to help you. And at times you will have to peek in and see, and at least look under the hood. How is the system functioning? Are our structures helping us to reach the goals and the objectives that we have, or do we need to tweak them? And even sometimes, do we need wholesale changes to our structures? The part about the leader focusing on people, I get that, I understand that, and I accept that. But the manager has to focus on people. One of the reasons that managers sometimes are not held in high esteem, and I don't know why that is, except that they are usually who the people in the organization report to directly. And when you have someone that you report to directly, no matter what we want to say, at times it devolves into sort of an adversarial relationship. But a manager has to work with people. Whether you're a manager or a leader, you work with people. Whether you're a manager or a leader, you're going to have to focus on the system and the structures. So both need to focus on systems and structures and on people. Bennis further goes on to state that a manager imitates and a leader originates. Again, that's a little like what we talked about just a moment ago. Bennis further clarifies and says that managers accept the status quo and leaders challenge it. Again, I think that's maybe a little more of a dramatic contrast than what really exists in real life. I think there are managers who are not happy with the status quo, and there are managers who do their best to challenge and change the structures and the system where they work. I also believe that there are some leaders who just imitate what they've seen done by previous leaders, and who, rather than challenging and changing the organization, accept the status quo. I think that really there are times when, as a leader, you have to be the managing leader, and I think manager, there are times where you have to take on the roles and responsibilities of a leader. Now, when I say that you're a managing leader, it doesn't mean that you are managing the day by day or that you get lost in all of the minutiae, but you cannot lose sight over what's going on. Now, you can hire folks and you can put the best people in place and you can turn them loose and tell them to go get it and get after it and to do what they have been hired to do, but you still have to check in with them, and you still have to make sure that the system is working properly, that the structures are helping, that we are moving along with our goals. So I think what happens in this point, we really do need each other, and there are times, especially in smaller organizations or entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, you have to do both the managing and the leading. And so if you're a manager and you really would like to be considered more of a leader, let me give you a piece of advice. Take on more responsibilities and learn to take more risks. Today, you can learn from books and podcasts and webinars and all of the things that are out there. Continue to increase your knowledge. Become proficient in what you do, become an expert in what you do, and someone will move you along. But don't just keep oiling the machinery. Maybe you could recommend some areas where we ought to move into this area, and it may seem risky, but if you want to move and be considered a leader manager, you're going to have to be a person who can see some things and are willing to make the risk. And leaders, I think, to be more acceptable in the area of managing is we can't just do everything solo in our organization. We have to learn to involve others. So get people's input, get their involvement. So the eternal question is, are you a manager or a leader? I'm going to say, yes, you are. And whatever you are, be the best that you can be. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope that you'll consider this, and this has been for you today like a vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. Wherever you download podcasts, please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Wherever position you find yourself in today, keep making improvement and be the best that you can be. This is Dr. Ron saying, leader, you're doing better than you think you are. And until next time, have a great and blessed day.